Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm your host Paul Rook, and as always, we are exclusive to the PAUK Radio Network. I'm joined in the studio, as always, by my brilliant co-hosts Kerry Greenaway and Richard Clements. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Very well.
Long time no speak. It's only about a week, isn't it?
2 days.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. 12 hours ago, perhaps.
Yeah, something like that, isn't it? You enjoy the weather?
Makes a change, doesn't it?
I'm not. I hate it.
I don't mind this weather. I go out, come back, go out, come back, can't rest. I'm not a sun worshipper that I lay out in the sun. I much prefer, but this makes investigating so much easier of an evening. Other than the bug factor where you just get jungle juice all over you, it's fine. It's much more pleasant to go investigating in this weather. The evenings are warmer.
Absolutely, but I really don't think you should be investigating in the jungle just to get the jungle juice going. That just sounds so wrong.
It does, doesn't it?
Can't beat a bit of jungle juice. Other insect repellent brands are available.
Well, okay,
Talking of insects.
Yeah, our next guest has had problems with them, apparently, hasn't he?
A lot of problems. I'd like to introduce you to fantastic friends of ours here on the Paranormal Concept Show. We've been friends with these guys for just such a long time. They are fantastic podcasters, paranormal investigators and researchers, madcap, crash test dummies, all the sort of things that you can do with the paranormal they're involved in. Jay and Teresa Lynch, welcome to the Paranormal Concept Show.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're doing really well, thanks.
Right away, how y'all doing?
How y'all doing?
I
Sorry, like these guys.
Didn't work.
Oh, well, I am.
So Jay's just taken up insect inspecting as well, hasn't he?
Oh, it's been horrendous here. Where we live in Ohio, it's Brood X season, the 17-year cicada, and they're
disgusting.
Teresa freaks out about them. I thought it was funny when they started. I knew they was coming. People started griping, and they started coming out, and they crawl out, and they get up in your trees and everything, and they come out of their shell, and they're white and growing their wings, and then they turn a dark color and start buzzing. And I still laugh about it, but now they're starting to breed and then die. That's all they do. They 17 years they come out, they breed and die, and then they're starting to stank really bad, really atrocious aromas of just terrible. You mow the grass, it's like mowing the grass and run over top of rotting corpses. It's great. Such a fun time.
Perfect for an paranormal investigator, surely.
Such a fun time for the time.
I read somewhere that the sound of them of an evening is deafening.
Oh yeah, it's you can
The later in the day it goes, like in the morning it's not too bad.
Afternoon and evening time.
In the afternoon, evening is really bad.
Then it's so bad that you can be in the house all shut up with your AC running and you can hear them over top of your TV, everything. There's just constant buzzing. They just making all kinds of lovely noises so they can attract a mate.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They emerge to mate and then they go back for 17 years and they live in the roots, don't they, or underneath the trees?
They emerge every 17 years, like you said, and they find a mate and then they lay eggs and then they die. Then the eggs hatch, and 17 years from now, those eggs will come out and continue the process. So they stay hidden under the ground for 17 years, get a mate one time, and croak.
Yeah. Imagine that, folks.
Yeah.
One shot. That's all you've got.
Is it only just in one area of the US that has them?
It's mostly in the Midwest. There's like, you can go 10, 15 miles away from where we're at right now. And right now they don't have any. Haven't had any come out yet at all.
My dad doesn't have any in his house.
So about the time they start getting where he's at, they'll die off here. There's portions like Eastern Tennessee has got them horrendously also, but Western Tennessee hasn't got theirs yet. So it all depends on how they emerge out of the ground. It just comes in waves, and it takes up almost all the Midwest, Pennsylvania. I mean everything. And
Have you
it's
have
fun
you
to
ever
watch.
thought about moving?
Heck no.
Only every 17 years.
But you
For a
guys know
4-week
how I am.
period.
You guys know how I am. So this is entertainment for me. There's a guy at my work that two of us pitched in $5 and he ate one alive, wings and all.
Oh dear.
For $10, he threw it in his mouth and crunched it up and ate it. So this is just cheap entertainment for me with everybody that's afraid of them.
I thought it tastes like chicken.
Oh no, they were. We actually got Jason and I have a place down in Kentucky that's having a baking competition where they're going to make different baked goods with them, cook them and grind them up and all that stuff. And they said if we'd come down and taste test them, and it all goes to charity. So I had a gentleman that offered me $10 a cookie. I said, you better put a limit to it because I will break your bank. If it's going to be a charity, I will eat more cookies than I can possibly humanly stand. I don't care if there's cicadas in it or not. If it's going to help out some child that needs help, I'm in. I'll do it.
I'll just donate the money. I'm not eating it.
No, I'd rather just give the money to Teresa. I wouldn't be to go and partake. But you do this with Jason, don't you? You go off and you try different foods. And
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time.
For our UK listeners, they had Marmite recently. What did you think of Marmite? See, we quite like Marmite in the UK. You either love it or hate it.
It's so strong.
It's a very, very strong flavor. It reminded me of a heavy beef flavor, like a beef consomme or a beef bouillon cube and salty. It wasn't just. I tried it way. I think who was that? Somebody tried it with toast with butter.
I can't remember who told you.
I've tried it with.
Now, the first time that they tried it, it was just like a big spoon of it.
Well, no, Jason went to stick his finger in the jar, and I pushed the jar up until it buried up to his knuckle. He had to try to get all that off his finger, and it was just, it was quite hysterical.
It certainly is an acquired taste, and there's always an ongoing debate in the UK if you like it or you don't like it. There's no people middle of the road. I mean, you either like it or you don't. I'm a great fan of Marmite, and on toast, I think it's great for breakfast. Yeah.
I'm the exception to the rule because I am middle of the fence on this one. I don't like it on my toast, but you put it in like a spaghetti bolognese, and it's lovely.
Oh yeah, that's certainly
potatoes. You can cook roast potatoes in it as well.
Yeah. They're really nice.
I'm going to try some more things with it. Like I said, to me, it gave like a heavy beef flavor, and I like you could almost use it in place of a beef bouillon or a beef broth or something like that to bring up that flavoring. And so there's more things I think that's got more accessibility to it than just trying to eat it off of a spoon or your finger.
Not quite what it was meant for.
But if you have really dry skin, if you have dry skin like bad lips or stuff like that, eat Marmite. It contains so many vitamins and minerals in it. It's great. So any of you Americans out there who suffer in that way, try it because it's really good for that sort of thing.
It looked like it had a lot of good nutritional facts to it, stuff, and it's concentrated and everything. But like I said, the way that we tried, which we never try anything the way it's supposed to be tried. So that's just part of it. Kind of haphazardly jump into it.
They make up their own.
Yeah, you make up your rules as you go along.
Anyway, let's get on to the paranormal because that is what we all do and we all love and it's our passion. How did you guys first get into the paranormal?
It's Teresa's fault.
No, not really.
Yes.
We took our niece. I've always been interested in it.
There you go.
Our niece was big time into watching Ghost Adventures at the time. And we asked her what she wanted to do for her 13th birthday. And she said she wanted to go on a ghost hunt.
But you had always wanted to go on one. So I got to kill two birds with one stone.
So we actually found one that we could take her on locally. And when we took her, we fell in love, just hook, line, and sinker. And we've been doing it since. And she's 22 now. No, she's 24.
Yeah. And we got so involved with the location that we actually moved into it, lived in the location for 4.5 years, did all the tours and investigations there, and helped with everything there. The people still owned it, and they still do. But we helped out with them for quite a while. 4.5 years that we lived in the building, and learned. We immersed ourselves into it. At that time, I was able to investigate 3 to 4. I was debating 3 to 5 nights a week for about 5 years.
Now, it wasn't, we were pulling all-nighters,
No.
except for the weekends. But we would go up and introduce, let people take a look around. We'd do the walkthrough. A lot of times we go to bed, set our alarm clock for midnight, go back up and check on the group, and then go back to bed. Our alarm would go off and we go to work.
Unless they asked us to stay and help them. So, very involved.
Very, very involved. From it's like you went from 0 to 100 miles per hour very, very quickly, didn't you?
Yes.
But I'm that way with everything. I can't help it. It's just, I blame it on my ADHD, but it's not. It's just my personality. I don't partly do anything. If I jump in with both feet, and I either sink or swim. It doesn't matter what I do.
So it's a baptism of fire, really, for you guys. What handy hints did you learn along the way?
People are never, a lot of people in the field don't like new people.
Oh, shoot, I love it.
If new people are very interested in it, if they feel that the newer people are challenging what they are doing, they don't like it. So that was a hindrance. But we just took it mainly in stride.
Yeah, we was blessed with the location we were at, that almost everybody was willing to work with us or allow us to follow along with them and teach us what they did, how they did things, the equipment that they used. Because there's no way we could get this much knowledge in that short amount of time unless we were involved like we were, and the people weren't so 98% of them so open to allow us to ask them questions and watch what they do, and it gave us a chance to really progress quickly. So we're all about that, collaborating with each other and working with other teams and learning from teams, because that's how we learn. That's how we got where we're at and how we started doing things.
So how did you actually end up living at this location? I find that story quite bizarre, actually. Sort of like you go to a location for a commercial ghost hunt, and then you end up living there. I mean, and how did that happen?
It was an old elementary school that's like 38,500 square feet, and there was a couple apartment areas built in it. And we were there so much and helping out, and we was driving back and forth from where we lived at the time, which was about 15, 20 miles away. Yeah. And we would drive back and forth on the weekends to help them do the tours and things. They're like, we got discussing with him. He's like, well, why don't you just move in and we'll all work together. And, you can help us with the tour and stuff. You're here anyways to save you some time. And so we did.
It seemed like a perfect solution.
Right.
So that is impressive. What sort of activity did you get in there?
Oh, there was tons of things. We would do things, especially with, a lot of people think because you say in elementary school, it would be younger children. And actually there was a lot of history there with adults around the area and stuff. We would have all kinds of, voices of children, laughter. There was a small girl that was supposed to have fallen and she didn't die at the school. She died later, but her spirit had been caught there several times. And a train wreck associated with the property behind it and close to it, that they used the property and stuff for triage before the school was built. And there's tons of things that we would get there. Disembodied voices.
Yeah.
I saw my first shadow figure there, and I didn't believe it at first, and I denied it for the longest time, but I didn't. It was just my imagination playing tricks on me, because I'm very, very skeptic and very easy to dismiss my experiences. I usually have no problem with
somebody else's
experience, but I have a tendency to deny my own experiences there for the longest time.
No, I do know what you mean about the shadow people, because I've seen certain shadow people at Shrewsbury Prison in the UK, and it was an odd experience, because it was almost like, am I really seeing someone poke their head out of that door, or is it just my eyes playing tricks? It is a really odd sensation. It really is. So
it was so funny, because the first time I saw it, I was the only one in the building at the time, and I was on the second floor. It looked like somebody stepped around a corner at me. I'm like, well, there's no one supposed to be anybody in here, so I hollered at them.
Yeah.
And they kind of stepped back. Looks like they stepped out again. I'm like, what are you doing? So I took off walking towards them, and they ducked around the corner, so I took off running. And they was already down at the end of another hallway, going around the corner down some 5 little steps. So I tried to run as fast as I could, which isn't fast for an old fat man. But by the time I got down the steps around that corner, they were already at the end of a 50-foot, 60-foot hallway.
Yeah.
So right, you run after it and chased after this shadow person.
I tried to.
What
I
would
tried
you have
to.
done? What would you have done if it stopped and turned around to talk to you?
I have no idea. I didn't think that far in advance. I truly didn't. And I was thinking, well,
You
this.
thought it was an actual
I thought it was
person.
an actual person because the hallways are dark because it's not real that lit, and there's
Yeah.
no window, anything else. So I thought it was an actual person. I got down the steps and stepped down that hallway, and there's no way they could have covered that distance in that amount of time. And it was already down the other end of the hallway. And what got me is it didn't go through the wall. It's like it hit the wall and then just dispersed in all directions, like it just dissipated, like fog or smoke hitting the wall and just creeping across it. And I turned around and looked like, did you see? There's nobody with me. Oh, I'm by myself. What? And that one kind of, I was like, well, maybe it's just my imagination because I wanted to have an experience so bad. Maybe I've met, like me and Kelly Cheryl says all the time, are you experiencing manifestation? Are you manifesting your experience?
Mhm.
Doesn't really matter which way it goes, but you have that possibility that the mind is a very powerful tool. So
Why does it matter? Why can't you just enjoy it?
I wasn't for the longest time, but now I do. Now I don't question it like that. But so at that time, though, I was kind of freaked out because I look around and I realized that, dummy, you just chase something that you can't control, capture anything else, do a building by yourself. There's nobody around to save your butt. You're in trouble. What do I do now? So.
But you have come across something like that and you embraced it.
The creeper on the floor?
Yeah.
Teresa was not happy with that. We was at
Not at first.
an old RCI, Randolph County Infirmary, and it was a poor house and infirmary and things. Over the years, there have been several things, but
Asylum.
we saw I saw a shadow figure, and it was a creeper crawling on the floor, kind of like the Grudge. But I didn't feel threatened by it, and we had a gentleman that's filmed us with a FLIR at the time when it happened, and I got to where it was within just a few feet of it, maybe 3 or 4 feet. And I got down on my knees and I opened up my arms to it and says, you can touch me, you can come to me, you can approach me. And it felt like a coldness went over me, not a bad cold, just a coldness and cool down and kind of tame. And the guy on the FLIR said that I had disappeared. My heat signature had disappeared about that same time. But when it left, it didn't crawl away or creep away. It actually stood up and walked away. And the best theory we could come with is that I'd actually recognized it as not being afraid of it and called it evil or demonic or anything like that. But I gave I recognized it as being some form of humanity, and it walked away, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but it was amazing. And the people down the hallway felt something walk by them.
I actually felt it walk by.
Yeah, you and Lee and
And
Patty.
it was, not that I'm that tall, but it walked by me like somebody walking by, not crawling by her.
You're tall for a Smurf.
Shut up.
Or it could have just sort of crawled along the floor to scare you.
Yeah.
And then when you touched it, he was like, "Oh, you ain't scared of me. There's no point crawling along the floor now, is there?" So I just got up and walked off. It was like, boring. These investigators are boring.
Yeah.
It was an amazing experience, but I'm all about that experience. It doesn't matter whether I'm investigating or with the paranormal or doing cryptid research or anything in my daily life. I'm all about. For me to truly understand something, I feel I need to experience it, to have encountered it. Talking about that gives you a mental knowledge. To truly understand things, sometimes you have to live it.
Yes.
Absolutely,
I agree. You can't make a believer by just talking. You have to. People have to experience it, and I totally agree with that. So, in all your years, what's you right? You did an investigation. I remember this from years ago, and this really was quite profound for me. I thought this was an absolutely amazing thing, and you had some Down syndrome.
Yes. Yeah, we had we were
this is amazing.
Oh, it's a fantastic story.
We couldn't do it last year because everything with COVID and stuff and canceled, and they hit us up this year to do it. And so far, we've not been able to have our calendars sync up to we'll be able to with them this year. But we were blessed that we were at Ashmore Estates, which used to be another poorhouse, and also was used as a institution for they just drop off people with special needs and things way back in the day. And we were there investigating, and it was like an open investigation. And a bus pulled up, a small bus. And it had a bunch of people that were special needs, and Teresa and I,
adults.
Adults, and we're like high functioning, but we're like, well, we'll take them, we'll go work with them and stuff. And it was
because everybody at first was like, "Oh,
we weren't expecting that."
Yeah, we weren't expecting it. We had no idea. So it was like, "Okay, how are we gonna?" And Jay and I are just like, "We'll do it.
We'll take care of it." So and it was absolutely one of the most amazing nights that I have ever had investigating. We've done it for 4 years straight. We worked with them. Is by far one of my favorite investigations. To see the people. We start out nice and slow with like flashlight sessions, which I'm not a big believer in, but it gave them something that they could interact with and understand.
Right.
By the end of the night, on the first time we ever met them, by the end of the night, there was 3 or 4 of them still. There's like 15 or 20 in the group. By the end of the night, there was 3 or 4 of them still with us at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were helping us and working with the SLS camera system.
Mhm.
It progressed that quickly, and it was just the questions they would ask was heartfelt. They asked questions I would never dream of.
And like I said, they were high functioning.
Oh yeah.
So,
The one gentleman would ask about the nurses and ask if they knew Sarah Barton or Florence Nightingale, and I'm like, I've never thought to ask that question. I never would have made that reference and stuff, but it was. And one
God
gentleman,
love his heart, he would say, "Excuse me, ma'am.
he was
Excuse me."
very proper.
He was very
Always-
proper. He was so sweet.
And the one gentleman that got me the biggest though was the gentleman that asked if they were there and that he understood where we were at. It was in an institution like that, and that do you know that they don't do this to us anymore? That they don't just leave us in places like this anymore. That we actually get to be a part of things, and it was. I ain't gonna lie. The people take care of us now. We just stay with our families and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie. This big redneck got a little bit choked up on that one. It was very, and I couldn't stop him. And I'm like, I wasn't about to try to stop him. He was making a connection that on his level that he wanted stuff that he needed to express. And we allowed it. But how do you follow that up after somebody who is, and you're in a place where people were just dumped off unceremoniously, uncaring like that back when they used to do those things. And because one girl was there because she got kicked in the head by a horse, and her sisters didn't want to deal with her anymore, so they just dropped off from the front steps and left.
Oh, right.
Horrendous.
So, and then to see people that have conditions that would have been institutionalized there unceremoniously and pretty much just uncaringly, to have them come in and to have them allow them to give that opportunity to communicate with people and show them the difference in how the society has changed was just an absolutely heartfelt moment that it's one of my happiest moments investigating. Heartfelt, tear-jerking sometimes, but very, very happy. And I love working with him. And I hope to God we can work it out this year, get back with him, because it's one of the best times that I have investigating. I love working with them. The knowledge that they pass to us and the concepts that they get on a different level that most people wouldn't think of is just amazing.
So what we're talking about in these 2 experiences that you had, the the Creeper experience and then the Ashmore Estate experience, we're talking about that connection of man's humanity to man, aren't we? We're talking about how we relate to spirit and how we can improve communication through our own humanity.
Oh, absolutely. That's the way I've investigated all the time. My concept and Teresa's, actually, we both talked about it quite a bit when we first got involved, that to me, that if these are the essence of a human being, the spirits of a human being, the soul, the energy, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. But if it truly is what's the remainder of what I'm going to be someday when my physical form is gone, why would I not talk to them the way I do anybody else? Why would I not interact with them like I do anyone else? So we've always approached it that way, that there is a humanity side there. Obviously, everyone's still wanting to make contact and communicate. So we've always taken that approach that, being very respectful and very open to them and trying to be that, still treat them as if they're still a part of what's going on.
Has there been an occasion where you've come across one that's not so good, not so nice, and that you retaliated back in that way?
We've had some grumpy ones, but I've never, ever said that we had something. We've never experienced anything, even on the level I would call malevolent. We had one at the school when we lived there. You could tell I was coming down the room because, the spirit box or something like on the hallway where they were investigating, he would actually call me a cocky bastard. He would cuss me.
And it got funny because we knew that Jay was coming down the hall when we heard that.
And I would just start laughing. It'd be like cocky bastard and like, oh, Jay's coming. And everybody be in the room like, what? And I'd pop in the door like, how did you know? Like, he doesn't like him. I'm like, it's not like he doesn't like me. It's become, with living there all the time and all investigating 3 to 5 nights a week, it became on a personal level. And it was almost like older brother giving a younger brother a hard time, and it just became comical. We just banter back and forth with each other. I'm like, just calm down, Edward. You ain't that bad. Just shut up. He'd tell me to shut up, and it'd be a joke just about, and then it would get more serious. Like we kind of go back into national investigating and trying to get communications and things like that. So with that kind of experiences, that's kind of steered the whole way I am. And I'm the guy that goes into places not because I think I'm tough or better than anybody else, but I have to experience things. Just last night we were at 101 and Teresa got mad at me again, but I do it every time.
Imagine that.
You can hit me, kick me, push me, throw me down the stairs, knock my hat off my head. You can channel through me, and if you want to communicate through me, you can possess me for communications. She has a corner every time I say it. I do it every place we go, every time. It doesn't matter where we've been. I've always done it.
And you know how I feel about that too, Jay.
I've gotten to where I know it's coming, so I don't panic as much. I told myself one of these times something's going to happen, and I'm going to have to clean that crap up.
Mm-hmm.
I see your point with that, and I truly understand when everybody says those things, and I respect that highly.
But you don't care.
No, it's not that. But what I get is that I'm more willing to be open-minded in acceptance of your opinion on what's going on and what I'm doing, and accept it and appreciate it. But yet, me having my opinion and my way of doing things, I'm an idiot. I'm a fool. I'm all these other things. That just shows but that to me that dispels the whole thing of being open-minded and investigating. I'm trying to be completely open, and I'm wrong for doing that. But yet, people want to talk about being open to things.
You can be open to things without voicing that you're open for possession. Okay, guys, help me out here.
No, I'm with you, Teresa. I think when you've experienced that, though, you then will never do that again, because the violation to self comes in. You know what that feels like, and you won't allow that to happen again. So you have a greater respect for your own well-being within the paranormal investigation side of things. And it's one of those, again, Jay won't ever do it until he's had that experience.
I was going to say, I sort of agree with Jay as well, because I want an experience. So if I'm going to be open-minded to spirit and accept that they're there and, give me an experience of some kind, if they're going to do anything to anyone in the team, I want it to happen to me.
Bingo.
And I'm exactly the same. I've had people scratched on the team, and things like that. And I've always gone in afterwards and thought, and I've said to spirit, if you're willing to do it to them, do it to me, But and nothing ever happens.
But I was present once. I was present once when something like that did actually happen to you, Paul, and you weren't too happy about it, were you?
No, because that hurt like a yeah. But it still didn't put me off going back there and actually communicating with the spirits and stuff like that. And the spirit apparently that alleged did it wanted me to go back, and it even called me by name to another team when I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And we went to other locations, and the spirit would come to us and say, we need you back at the initial location.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, Richard was so worried he thought he'd have to call me an ambulance at one point.
I thought it was time to call an ambulance, but luckily Paul managed to sort of recover from it. So yeah, interesting.
I do. I'm like that, and it's like, was it a spiritual attack or was it something else? It could have been a dodgy kebab.
Could have been a dodgy kebab, yeah.
But that's where I get with when we do our presentations at events and things. A lot of people come in very formal with their PowerPoint, things like that. We tend to just sit down and have like a discussion in the round, and that's why I point out to people that your experience is how your experience happens is an interpretation of how you perceive it. If you perceive 3 scratches to be this evil demonic thing, then 3 scratches are evil and demonic. Now, if you look at the human physics, if you right now scratch something, your 3 fingers will show up really nice and dark because they have more muscular and to them. Your pinky finger won't hardly leave a mark at all. So your natural body and how it reacts in a physical form. So why would you think it would be different with a non-physical form? And plus, they don't have a physical form to put any pressure on.
Mhm.
How so how you interpret these things, and 90% of us interpret things by our religious beliefs. Our religions don't believe there's no such things as demons and hell and all that things. So those people never have experiences with demons and things because they don't believe in them. They've never been taught that.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
we
I can actually sort of understand that to an extent, and it's like and you can even class paranormal like that as well. I mean, you know, this is sort of, there's nothing been sort of like discovered scientifically per se. I mean,
Right.
it sort of skips around the edges, but the paranormal, you could argue, is a belief system.
Oh, absolutely. Our belief systems are highly involved with it.
Yeah.
And how we interpret our experiences and everything else. I try not to judge. Just it's easy to perceive how you want to take it, but how is it meant? I tell my son, you can tell somebody, kiss my butt. Same words, different emphasis on the words mean different meanings altogether. It's how you want to emphasize things. So it's no different than trying to read a text. How many times somebody read a text and go, well, I don't know why they're being so hateful. And then you call or talk to them, they weren't mad at all. You read what you wanted to into it.
Right.
So when we do our investigating, when we interpret our evidence, we're interpreted by our emotions, our feelings, and our thought process. So you have to kind of take that into consideration.
Definitely.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Because
you guys do this to me every time. You make me bring my smart out, and it hurts.
I know, but you are one of the most intelligent investigators I have personally come across in the field, and I've met a lot of people.
You're going to give me an ego. Stop it.
Oh, I know. Known you a long time though, Jay. Done a lot of podcasting with you, and trust me, you make a lot of sense. And throughout your journey, how much research do you actually do? Like keyboard research, book research, you know, how much of that do you actually do? Or do you just base everything from experience?
Oh, no, I do. There for a long time, I did way too much research. I actually think that sometimes
keyboard research.
Yeah, you can do too much research because you go into a location with these expectations. And that's where we get into the whole thing about, are you experiencing manifestation or are you manifesting your experience?
Right.
So there has to be a line where you have to be able to separate the two every once in a while. But I spend a lot of time doing a lot of research on the internet and everything else, and studying equipment, different types of equipment, trying to see who's building what. The things that you guys have building over there in the UK are different than what's being built over here. So it's amazing the differences sometimes, and the techniques and things that are standard and allowed over there, like table tipping, things like that. That's you're laughed out. A lot of the communities around here, they're closed-minded about this thing. So I do tons and tons of research, more than what people think I do. And I watch what everybody's doing that I can, because
he's a stalker.
Well, but Teresa's favorite line is, no matter what, whether you're what they're doing, you will learn something from it. You'll learn either what you like or what you don't like, what you do want to try, what you don't want to try. Or
every person that you come in contact
will teach
with
you something, some way.
Teaches you something. They leave something, an impression of some sort, whether it's something that you want to do, something you like, something you remember, or something like, oh, I'd never want to do that.
Or you take snippets. Take a little bit of this person's technique, a little bit of that person's technique. We'll try this or
and
that.
I'll develop my own.
I'm always, and that was the good thing about living in Post Town, is that I could do that, and I could go when I get home from work. I'd think all day long. I'd do research on my phone. I could take a break at work, and I'd come up with these things, and I'd immediately be able to go home and go upstairs and say, okay, let's go upstairs and let's try this. Let's see what happens. And I would take my tablet along or a camera and record it, or write down and I used to have journals full of this data. I would try the same thing at different times of the day, or the same thing at the exact same time every day in different climates and temperatures, and try to record the barometric pressure and the temperatures and see if there was any atmospheric. It became insanity with my research. Now I do my research, but I also try to make sure I experience what's happening.
So you've got a nice balance now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, 100 miles an hour with my head on fire, my butt a kitchen. That's how I do everything. Everything in my life. It's always like that. Go, 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 go. And it became too much where I wasn't enjoying it. It became more about And the data really wasn't compelling enough to prove anything. I had no more chance of proving anything than I had from day one.
We did an experiment during the wintertime. The location really didn't get investigated because it wasn't heated. And we would hear stuff above us all the time up on the other floor. Things that was like sounded like a bowling ball dropping on the floor and rolling across.
And pick it up and drop it again.
And drop it again. And nobody's in the building. So
mop bucket. The
yeah.
wheels sound little mop bucket wheels on the floor.
So we went. We took a recorder and set it down on the bench in the hallway. We were only going to do it for like a half an hour, but we got watching a show or something, and no, we left. Everybody in the whole building left, and we came back. It was like 2 hours later, but the whole time there was activity on that recorder. You could hear conversations between a male and a small girl. You could hear a mop bucket from like a custodian. You could hear the keys jingling. It's what sounded like the handle of a mop or a broom hitting the ground.
Which was all would be considered residual effects and things like that. But still, it just showed that there's more things going on. And people just don't take the time to compile that kind of data. And it really it's kind of important. But until we get some kind of evidential proof of the even basis of what we're doing, it's still all for naught. It really is. Until we prove the very basics of it, I can compile data for the rest of my life. I can't prove any of it. So I'm just compiling data that means nothing.
But you can compile your data now, and then in 10 years, they're going to do something and have proof of it. And you're like, oh, look at all this data Joe Lynch got.
They're going to look back on, well, look at it.
But we can't read it because his writing is so atrocious.
Look at that. The goofy old fool was right. What's that going to give? Cookie?
But you're right, aren't you? Nothing so far has actually proved conclusively one way or the other in ghosts, spirits, paranormal activity, anything like that. But it's still important to gather the data because you, like exactly what you said, who knows? At some point that data may become really important.
Absolutely. And but you got to remember to understand that you also have to have some, and I get in trouble with this one time, you have to have some kind of passion and fun for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is the majority of the people on this planet right now, 98% are good people. 98% of the people have always been good people. They're hardworking people.
Are the ones that get the most.
Are the ones that get attention.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right. And so we use and interject a lot of humor when we're investigating sometimes because it brings up an energy level. I always call it the Monsters Inc. theory.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie Monsters Inc., they were scaring kids to get energy to supply their society in their life and all that, their electricity or whatever. But they found out towards the end of it, they got even more energy from laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it always have to be so dark and negative? Because that's what we choose. It's back to what we were talking about earlier. It's how we interpret things. We always go in with a positive attitude. We have some fun with each other. We laugh and joke before we investigate. Now, when we go to investigate, we're serious. Like everybody else, we're compiling our data, trying to get that communication, things like that. But in between the sessions, we were always having fun with each other and going over things and talking about it and laughing about, oh, this happened, da-da-da. And sometimes even playing jokes with each other to keep that energy level.
Or how many times have we been doing a session and not getting much, and we just start talking amongst ourselves?
I imagine they've noticed that too.
And you start getting an interaction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, you're here to talk to me, not each other. Come here. Get back over here. What are you doing ignoring me?
Isn't it funny though? Because that's things you learn over time.
Yeah.
Not to take yourself so seriously, have fun with it. It is what you do for a passion. Why would you change it? But this is where we come to recreation from TV. You see them on TV in their dark outfits with their logo, and they're very serious, and it's all very tense, nervous headache moments. Do you know what I mean? And freaking out in the dark and stuff like that. But in reality, that kind of gets you nowhere, right, guys?
Right.
Oh, I wear a bright neon sweatshirt or t-shirts, whether it be green, pink, blue, as bright as colors I can possibly wear is what I wear.
Tell them why.
There's a reason for it.
I know. Tell them why.
When we first started investigating, we had somebody take a picture down a long hallway at the school, and they said, "Oh, look, we caught a black mass." I said, "Well, let's not put anything out there. Let's wait till we review it tomorrow and we'll see what's going on and before we say anything.
And we were all excited.
Which I'm glad we did, because when we reviewed it and put it on the computer and zoomed in and enlarged it, it was just me wearing dark clothes. It wasn't a black mask, it's just my fat butt and dark clothing. So I seen how quickly, and we haven't been investigating maybe a couple months at that time.
Yeah, we were new.
I see how quickly that we could self-contaminate our own evidence. So I said, from now on, with our team, Hindsight Paranormal, everybody will wear bright neon colors. I don't care what color it is, but that way, any kind of video or picture or anything like that, we will immediately know it is one of us, and can never mistake one of us in a hallway or around a corner for being something else. We took away that human error factor right there immediately.
And self-criticism there. You look at it being constructive about your investigating. What can we do to make a more positive experience? That it can't be, how many photos do we look at, guys? And we're like, oh God, it's like, if you're right, if they were in normal everyday clothes, you'd know for exactly that it was a human on the team. You're rather than everyone in black. And I'm a notorious black girl. I wear a lot of black clothes. So for me,
I did.
That's sort of my colour, really. But it is something I'm more aware of when I'm on investigations.
Right. So it's just a matter of trying to eliminate that human factor, the human error, because it's the easy thing to do.
And then you're going to put that out. Somebody's going to shoot it down, and then you're going to get upset.
Somebody's going to download and zoom in just like I did. Go, oh, look, it's just a fat man in a black shirt.
Of what they said. So just take it out yourself.
Oh, they're a bunch of fakes and all this other thing.
Right.
You put up fake stuff. It helps alleviate that. Another technique I used to do when we did residentials, which we haven't done in quite a while because of COVID and stuff. And also when we went to any place, if I had something that was questionable, I would actually take a segment, actually a half hour, 45 minutes of whatever session was, and I would put it on 3 different disk drives or whatever, or flash drives, and send it to 3 different teams that I know, friends of mine.
That we trust.
And I wouldn't tell them where we were. I wouldn't tell them anything about the investigation at all. I would just say, review this and tell me what you find. And I'd wait for each one of them to get back to me. And I'd do my own review and see what I had found and wrote it all down and things. And the places that I only actually concentrated on is the places that at least 2 of us hit. Now, if there's a spot that all 4 of us found the same thing, that was something more credible to me. Because they're doing it completely blind. I'm not tainting their opinion or anything. I'm not saying, hey, what do you hear? What do you think you hear? I heard this. I've actually allowed them to do their own review of it, completely blind, and then tell me what they got. If they got nothing, I want to know that. Tell me that you experienced nothing, that you saw nothing. I only want to concentrate on where at least 2 or more people hit on the same thing. That gave me a little bit more of an idea of having a collaboration of what I thought and what they saw.
Wow.
I push things in a terrible way, don't I?
Yeah.
No, it's not terrible. I find it incredibly useful. Amount of years we've spoken, you learn, like you say, you're learning from each other and the ideas. And ultimately, this is what it should be. When we talk para-unity, it's a non-disnomer, because it's surrounding yourself with people that you trust to review your footage and come back to you and work with you and push those boundaries, but in a safe environment, and doing that work together. That's the unity we strive for in the field, and finding those people are incredible. Who is in your para-unity team, Jane?
Jason, without a doubt. My brother Jason with LAP Production, and now he's the Kerry Paranormal, and now we formed our production company that we're working together and doing it. And that's the whole show that we're doing with Paranormal Mysteries with Tina and Jason and Brian and Dave. Dave was brand new to investigating. Teresa and I had our team. Jason had his team. Tina had her team. PO3, Lake Kerry Paranormal. In hindsight, we took 3 teams and put them together, and all their different styles and techniques, and then brought in 2 new people to see their fresh ideas and fresh things.
We have 3 teams, 2 different countries.
Yeah, in 2 different countries. So
this team is in Canada.
It was just a matter of, that's the whole concept of that show that we were filming, is to bring that idea and show that it can happen, that people can come together and merge with different ideas, psychic mediums to people that are tech people to shamanistic. Brian's a Native American and shaman and things. So so putting our money where our mouth is and showing that it can be done and living that life and not just talking that life.
Guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, you've sort of come along your journey now, and it sounds like you've found your niche, and you're working with a tight group of friends. Would that be a good way of putting it?
Friends and family. I mean, I would have a problem sending something to you guys to review. I trust you guys, and I know that you would give me your honest opinion. And it's not going to be anything personal. You're not going to say, "Well, I'm just doing this because I'm going to tell them there's nothing here just because I want to piss him off." You're going to give me your honest opinion, and I respect that opinion. Even if I disagree with it, I still respect that opinion. You're entitled to that process because I have absolutely no way of proving anything that I said is there.
Right.
Just like you can't disprove it, it's there. So that gives me an open sight and another perceptive idea of how to look at things and to see maybe if we can't find a better route to solve these situations and get to a quicker route of communication with them or evidence or whatever.
When we work with the others that you're teamed with, the guy that you said was a shaman, do you tend to get more activity with him around?
Actually, and you would think that we was at a place that actually there's an old school that's going to be destroyed, and it was built beside a prehistoric Native American village and burial grounds. And he actually didn't have that much experience there. But when we did, we was actually at a dojo because he is a black belt in 2 different forms of martial arts. His energy brought up phenomenal levels there. It was, and that's the thing about when we work together as Paranormal Mystery. You'll never see us say that there's Jay's the lead investigator or founder or anything like that. We don't do that. We're all investigators, and whoever the spirits are responding to in that session, it's who takes the lead. The other people fall into support roles. They grab a camera, they grab equipment, they grab whatever to help validate. And we use the shamanism and the psychic mediumships or whatever you want to call it, along side to side with the equipment. We're firm believers that you can't prove spirituality with just science alone. That the science and the spirituality side of everything works hand in hand.
Work hand in hand.
That one can confirm what the others experience, or vice versa. That they are part of all of it. It's an intricate part of. They're each a gear on the cog of the wheel, and without every gear, it doesn't turn.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree with that as well. There's too many people think that they're like they're riding the ego train.
Yeah. And that's what I like about, like I said, with what we're trying to do is we don't have that. We actually, like every place that we go, a location we investigate, people who are there all the time, or the owners, we have them stay with us because it's not about us. It's about telling that story and that experience of what's going on there to the best interpretation we can. Not about my style, Jason's style, Teresa's style, Tina's style, Brian, or Dave. It's all about what is there. How can we best present this evidence and this story
and tell their story
and tell with an unbiased, open mind as possible.
So how did you approach it? You said you were at 101 last night. How did you approach that investigation? Did you, do you remote view it? Is there any, how talk me through the process?
Last night was a very different experience of how I investigated. I took it to a different level that I've never done before. 2 months ago when we were there doing a paranormal roundtable, which we do we try to do one about every month there or every 2 months. We get a bunch of people together, we have an open discussion, and we all investigate together and try different styles and techniques, just open up the lines of communication. The last time we were there, you all know that you guys do, that my friend Rick Rose passed away from COVID. Another brother of mine, JC, passed away the year before. And they both came through when I wasn't expecting them. We was in the basement and some other people were doing a session. I was just observing, and it said, "Hello, Jay." And then they started saying, who's here? And it said Rick, and it said JC. And so it became, floored. I was absolutely floored. And then later on, we was up on the 3rd floor, and a cousin of mine that was like a brother to me, who passed away about 15, 16 years ago, came through. And that got a whole lot emotional for me. And I actually ended the live session because I wasn't ready to deal with it. It had nothing to do with what was going on. It was just my emotions. He was like a brother to me. He committed suicide. And it was more than I could handle, and I wanted to put out publicly. So I backed out of it quickly and turned my live feed off. So last night we went to 101. I immediately went to the basement. I did a live session while I was doing it because everybody knows JC, everybody knew Rick and how close we all were. And Jason, all of us used to go there all the time. Well, JC was supposed to be there the week. He was supposed to go the following week with us, and he passed away the weekend before we were supposed to go there with us. So, and Rick and me and Jason have been there countless times together, doing all of our things that we do. So I immediately went to the basement while everybody else was setting up for some other things. I went there by myself and actually tried to get focus on them mentally, not say their names and things like that. Try to get some other people that were watching that knew them also. Just try to think about them and see if we could resonate that energy then.
Try to pull them in.
And so then I finally started talking to them name and asking for them by name, and I didn't get anything from that as far as evidence wise, the spirit boxes or anything like that. But the energy level in the room changed dramatically. And I actually, for me, and you guys have seen me before, I felt like I had to have my head on a swivel. I felt like there was something all around me and I couldn't keep up with it. And Teresa actually ended up coming down.
I said, well, I'm going to go downstairs. And as soon as I walked into the basement, and it's a large building, but as soon as I crossed the threshold into the basement, it was like walking into just a wall of energy. It changed. It was so odd.
I have never thought about making anything about this field personal, but personal came to me. And it took me 2 months to decide what I was going to do with that. I really had to really do some soul searching. And I decided that since I've asked for all these experiences, I've asked for this evidence. Me and JC and Jason and Rick always joked around that if one of us passed away, they better come give everyone some great evidence. And maybe they're fulfilling their promise. And it's my job and Jason's job to make sure we capture that evidence. It's what we always said. So I stepped back into the situation and I got to face my feelings about it. I got to face my emotions, and we got to get on with it. We got to do what we said we would do.
Very emotional, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Especially when my cousin came through. That one choked me up. I started stuttering horrendously, which I don't do. I'm usually a motor mouth, and people tell me to slow down. I'm talking too fast. And it was a complete, and yeah, it was a shocker. It got personal things that people they were doing the Estes technique, except they were doing a different style. They had a splitter for the headphones where two people were listening to the same thing at the same time, but they couldn't hear each other. They couldn't hear the questions being asked, and it was amazing how often they would hear the same words at the same time and things. So it gave a dual purpose to it, and also sometimes one would say response and the other one wouldn't. So it's kind of a neat way to try it. I'm going to do more experiments with it, but
it's kind of weird because somebody would, like, if they said, tell us your whole name, and one would say Teresa, the other would say Lynch.
Oh.
It was like
they couldn't hear each other.
Yeah, they couldn't hear each other at all.
They were blindfolded also, so they couldn't even see each other's, try to read each other's lips or anything like that. So it was rather intense, and it freaked me out. It took me a little bit of soul searching to think about, do I want to pursue in this manner? And I've decided that I'm not going to pursue it too often, but if it comes through, then I'm going to continue the conversation on and see where it goes.
Right.
So you're more prepared for it for the future.
Yeah.
It won't be such a shock, and I won't start tearing up and look like I'm on a boohoo.
Oh, bless you.
I'm honest about it. 10 years ago, I never said that. I don't cry. Now I'm honest about it. I've come in touch with my sides.
You'll have to start sending him some crystals over, Kerry.
I know.
No, I'm not carrying any rocks still. Tracy's going to hate me for that. Tracy's going to hit me.
Yeah.
I'll hit you for that.
It's like I did last night. I did that little live. I sat in the corner where I had that little session about 3 years ago where I kind of blacked out and things, and they all thought I was having a stroke. I sat at that very corner last night and said the same thing. You can try to possess me now. I'm prepared for it now. Like, I have no rocks, no stones, no crystals, no amulets, no crosses, I carry nothing of any form of protection whatsoever, ever. So here I am. Let's talk. You guys made me feel weird and made me look stupid. I don't need your help, so I'll talk to you that I want to be here. And nothing happened.
Yeah, but like we said before, that's almost like your own level of protection right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like saying, come on, boy, come and get me. You know you can handle yourself. Do you know what I mean? And then whoever it is coming at you goes, actually, no, maybe not.
Well, I've told them before too. I'm like, okay, there's only about 13 personalities stuck in my head. 12 of them don't like me, and I don't know which one's me. So if you want to join the party, come on in. I dare you. Welcome to the insanity. Come on
in. So, of all the places you've investigated in America, and you've done a heck of a lot of investigating and a lot of locations, what's been the most outstanding one for you guys?
Oh God, that'd be so hard to answer because each place has its own.
I was going to say they each have their own qualities, their own memories.
One we haven't discussed that Jason, my brother up there in Toledo, introduced us to is Collingwood Arts Center. I would love to have you guys be more involved in that. Come over to be able to do something there. It's an old all-girls Catholic school. It has a theater in it. There's actually been up in the nuns' quarters, where of course nuns had stayed there so long that they had passed away on the premises and things. It's not a community art center and it's used for theater and everything else.
The building itself is absolutely gorgeous.
And it's just love that location. 101 for the personal experiences alone there. Now the personal experiences of being able to interact with my friends and brothers that I've lost there. And that just holds a spot in my heart. Ashmore with the special needs. I mean, I just can't. Every single place has something about it that just absolutely keeps drawing me back to.
And what's funny is like some of the big ones here in the States, like Waverly.
We've not been.
We haven't been to the.
We're going next year. We just got booked into thing there.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Next year we're booked into a thing there.
You actually did a walk round of Collingwood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With us on Skype, didn't you? Or I think we were live streaming one night, and we did a walk around there. It just looks amazing.
I think that was during the conference, wasn't it?
Yeah. And they had one of the event, Paranormal Toledo, and it's coming back this year.
That's right.
And that's something I'm so happy about, to see the events coming back over here. It's amazing. Me and Jason with LEP and also with Bodine, the Bigfoot, are booked up in like 8 or 9 Bigfoot conferences and stuff.
I'll hold that thought on that, because I want to bring Bodine into the second half of the show. You're jumping the gun here. You're jumping the gun.
Well, and in truth, we're doing a lot of things with Paranormal too, and Jason also with the stuff we do with Paranormal Mysteries, plus Jay and Teresa are still doing things as Hindsight Paranormal and things. So it's booking up again. They're not allowing me to do the bookings anymore because 3 years.
No, you had us. We didn't know which way was up.
3 years ago, I would book us like, I don't know, at least 3 out of 4 weeks out of every month, and there would be times we was on the road like 6-7 weeks straight, and then we'd be off for a week and be back on the road for.
And then we all work full-time jobs, so
they were exhausted.
Well, somebody called me up and was like, "Hey, I'd like to see you guys." Okay, what do we need to do? Like, we'll give you a table, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll give you a room. I'm like, okay, we'll see you there.
I so want to come and join you on an investigation. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah,
I know. Oh yeah, hell yeah, yeah. It's definitely going to happen at some point in the future. Most
absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, I've got my passport, and I know Kerry's got hers.
Yeah, Richard, it's all on you, honey pot.
It's all on me.
On that note, we are going to take a quick break. We will be back with Jay and Teresa Lynch, exploring lots more of their paranormal journey. So join us right after this.
Hello, Harry Price here. If there's nothing me and my friends enjoy more here on the other side, it is to sit back and relax and listen to the Paranormal Concept Show right here on the PAUK Radio Network, broadcasting a plethora of interesting and informative content for all your paranormal needs. Find them across social media to keep up to date with forthcoming shows and all their other adventures. Hello, is there anybody there?
And welcome back to the Paranormal Concept Show, exclusive to the Paranormal UK Radio Network. And in the studio, we have two of our very, very great friends all the way from America, Ohio. That's Jay and Teresa Lynch. In the first half of the show, we explored their investigative side, their research, their experiences they've had, and the wealth of experiences that they've done throughout their time in the investigation field. It's just a phenomenal thing. Now, in the second half of the show, we're going to explore a little bit more about their own personal belief systems and spirituality and some of the other madcap things that they get up to. He mentioned Bodine the Bigfoot. Cryptozoology is one of the big things that Jay loves. He likes well, Bodine. First of all, let's start with Bodine. What can we say about Bodine? Jay, take it away.
Bodine is an absolutely wonderful little Bigfoot. He's become real good friends with Jason and I, and he's actually been traveling around with us to different Bigfoot conventions around the country over here and having an absolute ball. He's a small Bigfoot. He got kicked out of the Bigfoot community because they all made. Well, he didn't get kicked out. He kind of left because they all made fun of him for being so little and stuff. So, and he just started hanging around with people and he started wearing clothes and then me and Jason met him and just kind of grew from there. You know how I am. I can make friends with a stump. So we started having fun and we have a ball. He's been doing some filming with us, and we've actually got some people who wrote some songs for him that they're going to sing songs about him. Actually, he's going to be in some videos and he's actually exploded with Squatch GQ. They have now officially adopted Bodine as part of the Squatch GQ family, and there's energy drinks coming out for Squatch GQ energy drinks, tons of stuff. It's just amazing. Having a ball.
Bodine's the face of Squatch GQ.
Yep.
Wow, it's taken off then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Having a ball with him. He's a blast. He's very family friendly. We got a convention coming up July 17th at the Michigan the Bigfoot conference, and it's just going to be a great time. And we're going to debut the Squatch GQ energy drinks there with Bodine and stuff. We're just having fun. And he's a great guy. He's just trying to be human and get along with everybody.
The last time Bodine was in Michigan at a convention a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, he ended up getting into some wedding photography. There was
I heard about that.
They asked him to be in their wedding pictures.
Now, mind you, he is, as we call them big overalls over here. You guys call them dungarees and braces.
Yeah, that's right.
They're cut off into shorts, and that's what he wears all the time out in public. He's actually started to take on the clothing and finding modern tools kind of fun too. So there's some adventures with him experimenting, learning how to use some things.
Do you think there's going to be other Bigfoots escaping their community and joining him at some point?
Oh, we've already started to see some of them come out as it already speaking. It's more and more starting to become prevalent over here.
Yeah, they're emerging.
So your involvement in the crypto world, Jay, it's not so much around the Bigfoot. You investigate something called Dogman. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I'm one of the founding members of the North American Dogman Project. I'm the tracker for the investigating research team, Dog Boys. Yeah, we investigate. I'll investigate anything. We're actually doing some urban legends and stuff, but yeah, the Dogman's been really prevalent, coming up more and more reporters of sightings in the United States, actually all around the world.
I was gonna say there's chapters all over the world.
There's every state's got an office, and then there's some over in the UK. I think there's New Zealand,
I think so.
Australia. There's one actually in I think the Philippines. So it's grown beyond North America.
Oh right. So what exactly is a Dogman, or what would class as one? Because a lot of people would sort of think it's sort of along the Bigfoot sort of route, but it is totally different.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's more of a lot of people would say we'll call them a werewolf, except for a werewolf or lycanthrope. With the or legends of those and things, they change with the cycles of the moon. Where a Dogman is actually that creature all the time. It'll be looking like a large dog, and it can't stand up on its back legs and walk, run, things like that. It's being cited. One of the biggest cases is Beast of Bray Road up in Wisconsin, the Michigan Dogman. You can find YouTube videos on those. Those are from several years back. And also Land Between the Legs, where a family was supposedly attacked down there in Kentucky, Land Between the Legs, and killed by dogmen. So, but that's all been hush, and there's supposed to be a government cover up on it and everything else. So there's a whole bunch of things going on with that.
So what is the general consensus? Is it is this sort of like an interdimensional being, would you say, or is it flesh and blood? I know it's sort of like in the Bigfoot community, that is a very hotly sort of like debated topic. What is it with Dogman, do you feel?
Dogman falls in the same parameters. I get in trouble with the cryptid community with some of the approaches I take. Imagine that with me. I take a different approach than everybody else.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm surprised.
I was along the lines and just I'm not trying to challenge anything, but trying to get people to open up their minds and think and other possibilities. I'm like, why can't it be something that's a very physical creature? Why does it have to be so interdimensional? All these things, or alien life form, or things. That's all great grand schemes of things, but these things go back as far as we can tell. There's cave drawings of things like the Bigfoot and Dogman, all the way back in every culture around the world. So people that didn't have any communication or contact with other have these same sightings before there was ever a chance for them to know one another, know that the other person even exists on the planet. So who's to say that they're not along the lines of anything that's natural on this planet, just well hidden from us? We don't know the majority of the population of what's in the ocean. We're still finding new animals and insects and stuff in the Amazon rainforest on a daily basis that we've never identified. So why would it not be out of the concept that it could be that? Or why could it be out of the concept that they are part of the old natural secrets of the earth and like the Fae folk and things, and that they just stay hidden from us because we're so destructive. I wouldn't want to be found by a human and be something different. They're going to immediately try to take you in and dissect you and experiment with you and everything else. So I'd stay hidden if I could.
We're cruel people.
We're the cruel species on this planet.
Absolutely.
Most destructive species on this planet.
See, what I don't get is why people believe the government would want to keep the Dogman a secret, a state secret. I can understand it with the aliens, but not the Dogman. I don't get that.
Well, there's several theories there. You could go to a point from a military standpoint. We have this arrogance as a species that we think that we have dominance over everything and control everything, and if we can use it to our advantage over someone else to give us that dominant side, then we're going to do that. You can also take the aside effect of, even with the aliens and stuff, they don't think that the common person is intelligent enough to understand and be able to handle it. So therefore, we need to think for you. So we'll keep it under suppression and the wraps, so that way that you won't be scared of it or whatever, or freak out, and we can keep the whole control of things, and we're in control. That we'll tell you what you need to think, what you need to fear, what you don't need to think and fear. So there's several different levels that you can look at it. To me, it's more of just about anything else. It's all about having control. Right. I'll control what you see and what you don't see, and what you understand, what you don't understand. Because if I don't tell you, then you don't have to worry about it.
True.
I saw a report the other day about Dogman that people have had experiences not just out and about, that they've had them in their homes. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, there's actually a report one time less than a mile from our house where a lady said it was up around her house trying to get in her home and things. And the problem with it is that we weren't told about it almost a month later.
Yeah.
So of course I immediately responded, went up there, tried to get her story and stuff. But she's like, "What kid are you tracking?" I'm like, "No, there's like a week maybe, but a month? No, there's no way I can find any kind of evidence to be able to back that up. It'd have to be fresher than that." So, but yeah, there's been several sightings and things, and people said they're coming up more around society. But to me, that's to be expected. If you look at any animal, whether even a bear's a scavenger. They're opportunists eaters. They're omnivores. They eat everything. They eat fruits and berries and meat and whatever they can get. So we're encroaching upon nature at a horrific rate that it's got to go somewhere to survive. So you're going to have more and more encounters.
No, I agree with that. You're only going to look at foxes. Urban foxes. They're now urban foxes, whereas they were wild foxes at one point. But they've adapted to their environment, and that's because we've encroached upon the natural habitat.
Coyotes over here. Coyotes are horrendous. I was just going to say 5 years ago, in California, there were more coyotes in the city of Los Angeles than what there were in all of LA County, excluding LA.
Wow.
They've adapted quite well to living around humans. Like where we're at out here in the country and things, we got a small community that we live in and stuff, but you'll have a tendency to have people get stray cats or dump off cats and stuff like that. They don't stick around long. There's a large coyote pack not too far from where we live, and small dogs and cats, things like that. They're not but a food source to them.
I was just thinking that. Poor pets.
Yeah. So you have
on the menu.
You have all the people putting out their trash and things like that. So, and raccoons are going to get in there, and there are possums, and they're going to make a mess on the ground. They're going to knock it out on the ground. So now here's another chance for the coyotes to get a free, easy meal.
Our poor puppy, when we first got her, we took her outside. We'd had her probably about a month or so. And we took her outside to go to the bathroom, and the coyotes were out, and they were really loud, yipping and yowling.
They were packing up for a hunt.
And she froze and jumped right back up on the porch, and she didn't want to have any part of it.
She didn't want to go outside to go to the bathroom. It's like, you gotta
Oh,
go.
don't blame me. Yeah.
You're not house trained like that. Come on, gotta go.
I'll protect you, doggy. Don't you
Oh,
worry.
absolutely.
Right.
Oh, she went out there, but I had to stay right by her. And she's head was looking every direction at one time, just about. It's like, okay. I was like, no, you're fine. Go. Just do your
Oh,
once
bless
again,
her.
with all these things, I have a very bizarre perspective of how I look at things, but you get used to it after a while. I do.
It's a very different world, people, isn't it, in America?
Isn't it
Yes.
just?
It's a very different world indeed to what we have in the UK. We're very we're smaller. This is the
Yeah.
thing I always have trouble getting my head around. Is the distances and the space that America has that we don't kind of have in the UK, not to the extent that America has. And we've talked about this before, haven't we? About the wilderness of America. It's just you can get lost in one of their state forests or state parks.
Yeah.
You can get lost. You know what I mean? Because they are so vast. Like one
It's like-
state park is like the size of the UK, whereas in the UK you walk far enough, you'll find something. You know.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's like we saw it here with Ohio. Even if we live in the southwest corner, if we was to leave right now and drive to the northeast corner, it would take us about 4.5 hours just to drive from corner to corner of our state. That's just one state.
Mm.
Yeah, Ohio alone is 44,825 square miles
It's
for just
vast.
Ohio.
Yeah, I know. The vast
It is.
expanse of it.
It is just so vast.
Yeah.
You just the comprehension of that for people in the UK is something. It's hard to get your head around, quite frankly.
And like I said, that's just one state. We got 49 more.
That's just our state, and our state's not that.
Yeah, in the UK, 4 hours it takes you to the other side of the country. No
Yeah.
problem.
Oh, yeah. No
You know what I
problem,
mean?
yeah.
And you pass through multiple big towns and cities along the way. So we go back to the tracking. When you talk about tracking, what's the optimum time, and how difficult is it to get people to report that so you can be on the ground within a matter of days to investigate it?
Severely difficult because most people don't want to say that they saw a Bigfoot or a dog man. They're afraid they're going to be made fun of and things. And tracking also depends on the terrain that you're in, the environment, how much it's rained lately. There's so many things that takes into factor of it. If it's rained before the sighting or after the sighting, because if before the sighting, that means they're going to get some nice deep imprints. The ground is soft. And if it's been after the sighting, that means it's going to pretty much wash the imprints away. They're going to be harder to detect. Are you in a sandy soil, rocky soil? Everything that plays into factor. Every bit of it.
So have you ever came across any tracks that you could say was anomalous, shall we say?
Larger tracks.
Yeah, I found some tracks that we've made cast of, but once you actually made the cast of them and kind of pulled them up, they didn't look as large as they did when it was in a sandy soil, and so it was easy for something to spread out because it's going to sag into it, and the pressure, the weight of it, things it's going to make it. It's not going to be as heavy as what you think it is because it's going to imprint into the soil deeper because it being wet and sandy like that. So. When we first saw it, it looked like it was, oh yeah, this is something. Once you actually make the cast of it, and you get looking at it and see how the heel marks drag and things like that, you can see that the foot had actually hit on the heel, and then when they went to step forward, they put more pressure on the toe area, and the foot then slid in the surface, which now is going to elongate it. So there's some things that you got to look at all that things when you're actually going to do it to see if it's not been something like that. So it all plays a factor. Everything about the environment. Pressure, the possibility of weight, size, mass, everything. You have to consider all that in the process.
Not an easy task to do.
No.
No.
And you also got people out there that there's people out there trying to fake things. And they are actually, most of them are fairly easy to detect and see quickly because they don't take those into consideration. They usually just have some kind of device that they've strapped under their shoes, or they've made a cast thing that they stamp down on the ground real hard. And of course they're nice and even, and nothing's going to leave a perfect print when it's actually mobile and walking. nothing.
No, as you say, you know, sort of they can drag and get elongated, and even a lot of bipedal animals will actually, I believe, bears walk their rear paw print goes into their front paw print, does it?
Yep.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's so many things that and it's like we saw one time. They're like, oh well, look, for that very reason you bring that up. It was like, well, look, this one's got 6 toes. And I was where it stepped its own track. Calm down. it's not like a cat where it can have 6 toes. So.
So have you seen any evidence at all to suggest to you that is, that they're a real entity?
Have I had any evidence that's proven to me anything? Just like paranormal. No, I haven't.
What about
but that's why I keep researching.
What about personal experiences, though? Have you had an experience that you believe personally that it is actually out there?
No, and I've grew up my entire life here in Ohio, and my family farms. I grew up hunting. I've spent countless hours in the woods, all around here, all around the state and Kentucky, and also. I've not seen or found anything that would make me say that there's definitely something out there. But to say that there's nothing out there with what evidence has been found by others would be just my arrogance dismissing it because I haven't experienced it.
Right.
I remember you saying on a previous show when we was talking about a missing 411, where people would go missing. You said like if people don't want to be found out in the woods, then they're not going to be. So maybe it's just the same sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And Teresa's brought up the thing about we had something happen one time with something went behind our house where we used to live. In a community
It actually made national news.
Yeah, and it was, but I still found absolutely no evidence. Something large went through the woods, sounding like a canine, growling, barking, howling. Teresa's our dogs freaked out, wouldn't even come out of their kennels.
We had large dogs.
Yeah, one was a German Rot Black Lab mix, and the other was a Chow and Golden Retriever mix. And they would not come out of their kennels. Even they just started making noise, and it went through there in about an 8 or 10 acre plot in just a matter of 30, 40 seconds. It crossed it. So me and my brother, of course, being the way we are, this plot of woods that we grew up with, it's on our family's farm. Grew up playing and everything else. We went over there and started searching around. Something moving that quick, you should find signs. We found nothing. No trail, no look of anything breaking or crashing through the woods or broken limbs, no footprints, no nothing. It was recorded by several people, heard from people in the community, and we could find absolutely no evidence that anything come through there whatsoever.
And it's funny because my dad grew up in the hills of Kentucky and knew sounds and stuff of animals, and he had never heard of anything that sounded like that. And he personally heard it.
I actually see a video this evening. I don't know if it's related, but 2 police officers were called to, I think it was like a cemetery or a big open space anyway, because there was something making strange noises in it. So they obviously had to respond as an emergency call. And it was almost like a fox screaming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that where the policeman jump around and run back to the car real quick?
That's the one. Is that about the dog man?
But you know that sound. I was like, it sounds to me like a fox screaming.
Yeah, it did
that's
to
what
me.
Sound like to me. But if you don't know what it is, that's gonna be terrifying.
Well, yeah.
He had a hoot owl, or not a hoot owl, screech owl.
Screech owl and barn
that
owl.
Scared the crap out of me.
It's like some woman or a child was in our barn being murdered, screaming for help and stuff. Nothing but the owl.
It's like when you hear cats fighting and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of sort of even smaller animals like hedgehogs and stuff that make quite a racket.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've heard a frog.
Well, yeah, I'd say the only time I've ever actually been worried in the woods is I was out with my dad. I was probably about 13, 14 years old enough to know what was going on and stuff. And we heard something. I still don't know what it is. And I looked over at my dad and said, what in the world was that? He goes, well, I really don't know what that was. Now, that made me nervous. When the man who's gripping his woods his entire life, I don't know what it is. and he's my hero and he can't identify it, I'm like, oh, now we might be in trouble.
See, this is the thing with this, though, is it's not the investigator kind of person reporting these. These are hunters. These are people who know the woods, know the area. They're reporting anomalous experiences that they can't explain. And when just exactly what Jay said, when you've got something like that going on, you have to sort of like the relevancy of that takes a different level, doesn't it? Because you're going, they're not going to bullshit. They're just saying what they saw, or heard effectively. And they don't get over emotional about it. They're just saying, reporting it as that's what it is. That's what I heard. Take and leave it. They don't care. So when you've got people like that reporting these instances, but no physical evidence to back it up with, oh God, what do you do with that?
Investigate. Go talk with them. Go see if they can show me where they thought it was at and everything else. And the sad part about this is that that's indicative of our society nowadays, because you would say, okay, these people know these environments, they know the animals and all this stuff, therefore they're hearing something they don't understand. There must be something there that needs to be investigated or explained or anything like that. Where you have people that are completely denial or skeptical of things. They're like, well, they're just a bunch of dumb country boys. What do they know? They're just uneducated. They're just making this all up. So it's a matter of like anything else, cryptozoology and ufology and paranormal research. It becomes a matter of your reputation and how much you're willing to put yourself out there and how much you're willing to stand on what you say. And it becomes almost appalling to how people want to just automatically just discredit somebody and throw it away.
I think a lot of more professional people have had experiences, but they won't talk about it because they're worried about.
Just like our government finally putting out stuff about UFOs and Air Force things. They're finally just starting to release some things, which still to me haven't been released of anything that's going to be proven otherwise, whether something really is there or isn't there.
Right.
It's definitely one of those, isn't it? But I always find the layman on the street, the person that isn't into the paranormal, just relaying their experience to you, has more credibility than a team that goes out every week looking for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
99 out of 100 times, because those people are just wanting to relay their experience, and I tell people that all the time.
Somebody to listen to them.
Well, but I tell people all the time that your experience is your experience. Whether I believe you or don't believe you really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what you experienced. You know what you felt, heard, smelled, seen, whatever. The only way that I can take that from you is if you give it to me and allow me to make you feel that you did experience or that you imagined it or whatever. Nobody can take that from you unless you give that away, and that's yours to keep. And just because they don't believe you doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Then they always say, well, prove it. My answer to that every single time is, no, you disprove it. Why is the burden of proof on me? I told you what I experienced. I told you what I felt, heard, or whatever. Now, why do I have to back it up? You go tell me that I did. You show me how I didn't.
Sorry, little sneasel there, everybody. Snuck up on me. But no, you're right. You can't prove or disprove it. You have to take it for what it is. And if you're talking to somebody who isn't, actively in the paranormal, searching for fame or fortune or whatever the expression is these days, it's just somebody had an experience and they're just telling you about it. Listen.
Yeah.
Record it. Write it down. Ask questions.
You might learn something.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Oh.
Jay, would you investigate? Sorry, carry on.
I say, heaven forbid, in this society that we learn something. We don't just automatically Google it and think that whatever's on the screen in front of us is the absolute truth, because it's on Google. It's got to be right.
Totally agree there. Would you investigate a talking mongoose?
Oh no, really?
I knew he was going to say that. As soon as he said, would you investigate?
I've said it a billion times. I'll say it a billion times again. I will investigate anything.
Excellent.
Everything. I will follow through with it. I will sit anywhere. I will go anywhere. I have no problems with that. I have the title and the church made up for a reason. Paranormal Crash Test Dummy. I will. Every place that we go, and they say, the first thing me and Jason find out is a place that they say, well, nobody goes in that room, or nobody stays in that room for too long. That's the very place that me and him flip a coin to see which one of us is going to get locked in there first.
Locked in, everybody.
It's not.
Now,
It's not trying to prove that we're so better than anybody else. We want to have that experience. If these people can be picked up out of a chair, thrown against the wall, do me, show me.
Changing tracks.
Okay.
Completely. Out of the two of you, Teresa is very spiritual. She's psychic medium, feels energy, does a lot of healing work in her own right. And you got labelled or not labelled. You got with Jay. How does that work?
Well,
Opposites attract.
Right. I got with Jay
Yeah.
first.
She was bored.
Yeah, I needed an adventure. He's
Have you
actually
managed to
just
convert him?
Kerry. He's actually just an experiment.
Mm.
You remember when you was all little and you said your parents always told you better watch what you're doing. You'll regret that someday.
Uh-huh.
I'm that regret. I'm that punishment.
Well, we have been married for.
We've married 33 years this year.
I know that. I was going to say we've been married for 12 years before we ever
Investigated, but you have always been into it. You've always seen
Never been
things,
married
felt
22
things.
years before we ever investigated.
You always seen things, heard things, felt things. I was just at that time. I wasn't even skeptical. I was
He was
dismissive.
so dismissive. I wouldn't even really say anything about it.
But I was so earthbound that I was always with the farming and the hunting. If I could see it, feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it, it didn't matter to me. I just missed things because apparently there's things above my pay grade that I'm meant to understand, and it's not my problem to worry about. I'm going to worry about what I can do. I don't worry about what I can't do or what I should do or might be able to do. I worry about what I can do, and if I can do it, I do it.
Perfect example of what he just said.
Uh-oh.
We moved. His grandma passed away, and we moved into the house. The house was empty.
Completely gutted.
Completely gutted, empty.
Well, of possessions.
Yeah, possessions. Our son was a year when we moved in on his birthday, and he was about 2 when he came.
Almost 3.
Was it almost 3?
Yeah, almost 3.
When he came walking from the kitchen into the living room where we were sitting, and he had something in his hand. He said, "What do you got, bud?" And he shows. He says, "This," and it was a pocket knife.
Well, the funny one was before that happened.
And I said, "Where did you get that? You know, when your child comes at you and has this pocket knife, it was closed, of course. So where did you get that?"
It wasn't mine. I'm innocent this time.
Yeah. And we were, "Where did you get that?" And he says, "In there." "Well, show me." And he wasn't even tall enough to reach the top of the cabinets yet, the counters. He had a tippy toe, and it was up on the top of the cabinet or the counter. And we couldn't figure out what. Well, it turned out that it was his
my great grandmother's, and there's a piece of tape on the backside that had her name written on it. That was written by my grandmother who lived in that house. So where did it appear from, and for him to find? And both those ladies he never knew, and he shared her bedroom, and he came out of the bedroom one day just laughing and giggling when he was playing.
Yeah.
And I said, "What's so funny?" But he goes, "Great grandma's funny." Now, he was born in April of '99. She passed away in August of '99, so he never knew her. And she was like, "Well, you believe there's something there now? You believe me now?" I'm like, "If my grandmother wanted me to know she was here, she comes slap me in the head. It's between him and her. That's their interaction. If they want me to know, they'll talk to me. They're not talking to me, so I'm out of my own business."
So, Teresa, did you experience anything in that house?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw things. I saw things frequently.
I probably did. I just went, "Okay, that was weird."
Yeah, like when your mom saw the nail appear out of the.
When we lived in the school, Nell, my mom wouldn't go visit us at first, and she finally decided she was going to visit, was going to miss her family. She's sitting probably 8 feet away from the wall, and one of those square concrete nails come bouncing across the floor at her. And there's nobody behind her. There's nobody near her, and it just kind of come out the center block wall, I guess, and fell on the floor. And she just kind of looks at it and she goes, "Well, how peculiar!" And just turns around,
and just turned right around and just kept talking, and we were like, "Oh my gosh!"
There's nobody near you behind you. Come bouncing across the floor, but all you can say is, "How peculiar!" All right, then. Whatever.
Yeah, at that point, and she wasn't going to come because we were living in a haunted location, and that was when she decided that she wasn't going to let anything keep her away from family.
Yeah. So it was an experience, but
I've seen things
all your life.
all my life. My family is from the Alpaca Mountains.
Let's get that one in there.
Love it.
And I have come to, they didn't talk about things very much when I was growing up.
You're a granny witch.
And come to find out that it runs in the family.
Several cousins, all female.
All female
Are
cousins.
very sensitive.
Very sensitive of some form or another. There's myself and one other that have the healing part. And what I do is actually, I forget the name.
Fire pulling.
Fire pulling.
The Appalachian people call it fire pulling.
And that's where I can, like, if you told me, Kerry, you told me that the base of your neck was hurting.
Uh-huh.
And I could not actually even touch you, but put my hand where you tell me, and I can feel my palm fill up with pain, literally fill up, and I just pull it out. And then when I'm finished, what I envision is that there's holes in you. So I fill them up with white light and good intention, until I see those holes fill back in, and then I'm finished. And I don't think I've ever had anybody say they didn't feel better afterwards.
And the really funny thing is, Teresa,
I know that's where you're hurting.
yeah.
That's why I said that.
Well, I pulled a
Pain
muscle in
in
my
my neck.
shoulder.
No, in my neck. That's in
No,
my
I
neck.
pulled a muscle in my shoulder.
We're not talking about you.
No, it's not about you.
Yeah, come fix it.
Still Kerry's thunder.
It's just jealous, Teresa. He wants his
In the
pain
Alpaca Mountains, they refer to
acknowledged.
people that do that as granny witches.
Right.
Amazing. And who says energy work doesn't work from a distance, right?
It does.
Right.
If you-
Give me a couple minutes and tell me how you feel.
Okay, love it. While she's doing that, Jay, I'm going to let you ramble on about your because you've come on quite a spiritual path, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I've made a complete turn from my ways that I was raised. I was raised in old Southern Baptist ways, and young people is more staunch on things like that as Catholics. They say they call the Southern Baptists sometimes Catholic light. I'm just saying what people refer to it over here. But I've taken a long journey as far as on a shamanistic journey.
There we go.
Which is something that's been absolutely eye-opening in many ways.
So, where are you now with that? Are you exploring that still? Are you meditating? How are you working in that way?
I'm still exploring it quite a bit, because if you're going to, I got in a huge discussion with somebody the other day, and of course I was the aggressor according to them, but they said they were 32nd degree shaman. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't recognize that. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, true shamanism is about the search for knowledge and understanding, and to not only just gain it, but to share it. So unless you have absolute control and knowledge of everything of the known and unknown universe, then your journey is ended then. But until you have absolute knowledge and understanding of everything of the known and unknown universe, your shamanistic journey is always on perpetual change. You're to accept that knowledge, take it in, and also to share it back and to help others with it. So your journey, there is no levels. There's just acceptance and exchange of knowledge and understanding. And of course, it's like, well, I'm a 32nd degree, and that's why, because I said so. And I'm like, okay, I disagree with you that you can't be a degree level of being a shaman. That's not the basis of any of it. No matter what culture you look at, it's all about being a part of the culture, the society around you, nature around you, and acceptance and flow of knowledge and understanding. Mm-hmm. You can never, ever end that journey if you're truly going to follow that path.
I totally agree with that.
So, but yeah, it's as far as meditating, I still can't sit and meditate. I have to do what a lot of people call walking meditations. I tend to gravitate towards where I'm comfortable out in the woods or out in the field or along the lake or something like that, I always return back to nature. That's just where I'm from and what I understand, where I feel at peace. I don't feel anything threatening ever in the woods, except that one time with my dad when he didn't know what it was, and I was the only time I've ever felt scared or nervous in the woods, no matter what situation I was in.
It's one of those. I totally agree. It's a journey that you could, well, if you walk the spiritual path in whatever way you do that, it is always it's a lifestyle. It's not an end destination perspective. You can't ever expect that because you're constantly evolving and learning and changing, and knowing yourself is a big part of that. And active meditation, where you go out and you're actually doing something and your mind is free, but your body and physically you're busy, but your mind is free, is sometimes one of the most powerful meditations you can do. It's very difficult just to sit there and through a meditation. It's not as easy as that. It's one of those easy things to say, not easy to do. I totally get that.
With some of your spiritual stuff that you've learned through your shamanism journey, do you employ any of that in your investigations now?
I would say so, because that's part of the reason why I've changed my style from being more of the all scientific data, that it is a spiritual journey. It is a spiritual connection, that whole humanistic side and that energy of care and concern on an energy level, not just a physical level. We all give care and concern to each other now on a physical level because we can physically see and feel and touch and all those things. But this is on a different level. It's on a spiritual level, and it's about that and being able to connect with my ancestors and see the lineage that is there and the knowledge that's there and available to me, to be able to use that energy in investigating to help have that experience, to help have that interaction, that manifestation, or however it decides that it wants to interact with.
Yeah, so you would use it like another tool in your toolbox.
Yep. Another tool, just an acceptance of. When Kerry's talking about that whole change, all that thing, that's the biggest thing a lot of people don't understand is that change. The hardest one to accept is the change of yourself, and to change your mindset is the hardest one. To realize that you don't understand what you thought you knew, and you know this and that. To come to the concept and to realize that you truly, really don't know nowhere near what you thought you did, and to open your mind up to that level changes every dimension of what you do in every aspect of your life. Not just your daily life also.
Do you think it's had much of an impact on the activity that you're getting?
Yeah, because of my acceptance of it and my openness to it. I absolutely. Because before I would say, we'd sit there and be like, well, I've had my hair pulled and I felt this and somebody tickled my toes, and I'd be like, I got nothing. But I was so closed-minded to not just the experiences around me, but my own acceptance of the experiences around me.
Yeah. Okay.
And if anybody's curious, that feels so much better. And I don't know if you heard the click. Did anybody hear a click?
No. Teresa typing on typewriter here? No.
That was my neck. My neck clicked.
I was going to say a typewriter. Like, anybody uses a typewriter anymore, old man?
Throughout that was, and I could feel the heat. And at one point, she moved it down to between my shoulder blades because I get a pain there too. And so that whole column bit, that bit there, it's on fire at the moment. But my neck clicked while that was going on, and it feels a lot less stiff to what it was. So thank you very much for that.
You are very welcome.
Love it. I love a bit of distant healing.
Now, see, what's sad about it is I live with her and I never take advantage of it. She's got a massage table. She's got a massage chair. She's got all the stones and crystals for heating up. She has a bio mat, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hers is full of jade discs, and I never let her use it with me.
No.
What?
I have lived. I don't know how much you guys know about the old movie series Jackass with all them guys.
Yeah.
Those guys are amateurs compared to the things I used to do. So I've earned all my pain from my own stupidity. So I deserve to suffer with them.
Gosh, no. Try it, mate. I tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, the biomat. Amazing experience.
What I like is the fact that I can do it long distance. and help.
So y'all keep getting energy long distance. I'll be all right. I put myself in a situation. I have to deal with it. I made my choices now. Butter up, buttercup, and get on with it.
Butter up, buttercup.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Quit your whining and get on with it. It's your fault. Face your choices and live with it.
What was that
Yeah.
you used to get? What did you used to get people to say? Something about a biscuit.
We're starting our podcast that we used to do, which we're starting back up again. Butter my butt and call me a biscuit.
That's the one.
There you go.
You did it once, didn't you, Rich?
Yeah, I was on the start of their show once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the recording of him saying that. I have to
That's
see.
right.
I have to go back to my history of my
your
computer
file.
here and see if I can't pull that up and bring that back to life.
And that long distance thing, people, it's about connections. It doesn't matter if you're not right next to the person. You can do that. It's about intention and focus of that intention through connection. And I know Teresa very well. She knows me very well, even though we've never met in the physical. And it doesn't matter. You've got that connection there. That's how you can do readings for people over Skype or telephones. That's how you can do it, because you've got that connection. Just by connecting to somebody, just by saying hello, you form a connection, and that's how it works.
You open up the line of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Energy knows no time or distance.
Exactly.
It's not restricted like we are with our own minds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Going
a timey,
quantum.
wimey, wibbly wobbly thing.
Quantum physics, that's what it is.
Exactly.
That was getting deep.
So, what advice would you give to anybody, whether it be spiritual, paranormal investigating, or cryptid investigation? What advice would you give to somebody stepping into the field now?
Get it, Teresa.
Trust the people you're with. Have fun while you're doing
Surround
it.
yourself with good people as you can.
Yeah, have fun. If you can't have fun when you're doing it, don't do it. There's no sense in it. You're not going to get much reward from it. So enjoy yourself.
Good
Me, I would
advice.
say to you, think, use your mind. My worst saying I hate, whether it be paranormal investigating or anything else, Teresa will be over here mocking me. I hate that saying, think outside the box. I say throw away the box, because I should be allowed to think inside of it. I should be allowed to think outside of it. Don't worry about the box. Use your whole mind. Challenge yourself. Push yourself. But always think. Always try to see if you can't figure things out. And if you can't figure it out, then you are left with something paranormal.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
That sounds like good advice to me.
And listen.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen.
Yeah.
Talk and listen. Communicate.
What?
Because you do. You learn loads.
I know, that's why I said what, to see if you'd repeat it again, because I wasn't listening. But yeah, you caught me. You didn't repeat it.
I don't know what she said, but I think listen's a good one.
So what's next for you guys? You're so busy all the time. You know, what can we find you doing right now? What's out there in the public domain for people?
Oh, you can always find us on our private or personal pages on Facebook. I've also mine on Instagram. Find us on LEP Production. That's LEP Productions on Facebook and also on Instagram. We got, like I said, 7 or 8 conventions coming up with Bodine. Teresa and I got some more things with Cryptid. We each do podcasts. Teresa does. We do one on Monday nights. We're starting to get back up with it. We're starting to book it again.
Tina and I are
Sit,
starting
chat,
to
laugh at the Lynches that we just talk about whatever. And when we have different guests, and topics could be anything under the sun. We talked one night with Steve DeShavi, and me and him spent an hour to an hour and a half talking about bourbons and cigars. Had nothing to do with this show and the paranormal or anything else. So
nothing whatsoever.
Yeah, so you could end
I
up with
couldn't
any
even
topic.
get in on that conversation.
That's because you don't understand how a good cigar and a good bourbon go together.
But there's nothing good about either.
So, and then Tuesday nights I do want a show with Jason and Joe. It's called Stirring the Pot. It's a comedy show. Please don't have your children listen. It can get kind of crazy, but we also will tackle any topic. There's nothing off limits, but we must maintain that same process as we've had here. We will discuss them, but we will discuss them with intelligence. You will not be negative to people. You will not demean anybody. We want to tolerate in the chat room. We won't tolerate in the conversation. We cannot progress if we do not learn to do what Kerry just said. Was it? Listen?
Listen.
Yeah. You get 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You should listen twice as much as you talk.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to use that one. That's good.
Oh God, Paul. But the influence of Jay on Paul. God help us, Richard.
Yeah.
God help us.
I'm so sorry.
Can I tell you what? I would still love to do another show where we all sat there at one time and talked about it. It's been a couple years, but we actually had some fun talking about the difference in the language and difference between how different the UK and the US are, and with the country right now in the states that it's in, where you have people on social media pages saying that English came from America, not the UK. I'm like, are you serious? There's so many things to make fun of with our country right now. It's absolutely, it's a comic's dream. As long as you don't buy into the whole what is that crap? Politically correctness. Yeah, that dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a comedian in the UK, Michael McIntyre, and he talks about the language difference. And he said, like, with the UK, we've got a word for something, and then with the Americans, they need a little bit more information. They're not, they don't like our word. Like, for example, pavement. Pavement in America is sidewalk. So that says to me that at some point in history, they just walked willy-nilly and got hit by a car. And now they've got to know that they walk on the side, and so they've got sidewalk.
Yep. Yeah. It's not true. It's not true.
I think horse riding as well. We call horse riding, but in America it's horseback riding. It's like where do you ride the horse?
Yeah, on his belly. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
That way.
Glasses was another one. He said, in America they call them eyeglasses. Like you need to know where to put them. Like, you can imagine someone putting on a knee. No, I can't see you through my knee. No, wrong. I need to call them eyeglasses.
We had a really there was a particular evening though, wasn't there? We was doing you guys were doing an investigation. I wasn't there, and the language barrier came up. Richard?
Yeah.
Yes, that was at De Grey Street, where we done a live séance on a Jay and Teresa's show, which was quite sort of unique in itself, just that aspect. But Teresa came in because she was picking up a man who was wearing suspenders and he wasn't very happy, and we just all cracked up laughing. Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, and I was it, and suspenders in America are what we call braces over here, what a man would call braces to hold the trousers up, and a suspender is something a girl wears to hold their stockings up.
See, we call them garters here.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is so funny? And you kept saying, well, if you can see he's wearing suspenders, no wonder he's mad.
Yeah.
It was hysterical for me. And she actually was embarrassed. She couldn't see you guys. You couldn't see her, but her face actually got red. She was embarrassed by that.
It did.
Yeah, it was all good fun.
Yeah, it was good.
So, but I enjoy those kind of interactions. So, and I'll have to look that comedian up because I'll enjoy that on pieces, because I'm one of the Americans that I don't care if you make fun of us, because you know what, as a species, we are the most destructive and most arrogant, but we're also the most hysterical because of our arrogance and stupidity.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too.
You gotta learn to laugh at yourself.
So what's next? We're coming out of, we're fortunate enough in both of our countries that we hopefully are starting to get on top of the pandemic. So what's coming up for you guys now the world is starting to open up a little bit more for you?
Oh,
freedom!
Yeah, I know, right? Everyone's like, yes, thank God we can do stuff again.
What do you mean starting to open up? As of June 2nd, everything in our country, in Ohio, stopped. We just, it's like, and when a UK comedian was making fun of that one day, he goes like, the pandemic's over in the Americas. Like, oh, so it's gone. They're all cured. No, it's just over. They're just done with it. I mean, everybody's healthy. No, they're just done with it. They've had enough. They're moving on. We're done. We're done. We've had enough.
And had enough of you telling us what to do.
And it's pretty much the way it happened. Just June 2nd here in Ohio, all the restrictions were lifted, all the bans were lifted, all the mask requirements were lifted. As of last Tuesday, restaurants all went back to full capacities, bars, sporting events went back to full capacity, no restrictions, concerts are all back. It's like nothing happened. We're over it. People are still dying. That's okay. We're having fun.
Let's just have fun.
So, it's amazing. So we're back out. We're doing. I've actually picked up a couple more projects. I'm working back. Well, I've restarted some projects. I'm doing more research on urban legends and things. I'm not a film editor by any stretch of the imagination. So when I film guerrilla style or Blair Witch style, what you want to call it. It is what it is. I don't put in cute music. I don't edit. I don't take nothing out. I don't put anything in. It is what it is. What I experience and happens, you'll see.
Don't put it in because we don't know how.
Even if I knew how, I'd rather do it this way. It's just how we've always done, even with our live feeds. This is who and what we are, and what we're doing, and you could either watch it or I still had fun.
It's quite good, nice. It's quite raw and sometimes you can over edit stuff.
Oh yeah, but I'm raw and in your face anyway. That's just my personality. I'm very open, very outspoken. People ask me a question, I give them my honest answer. If you don't like it, I understand that, but that's my opinion. I respectfully don't like yours either. So let's just have a beer and laugh about it.
I've got myself with a Jay, Teresa. I swear to God, it's like talking to my other half sometimes.
You get yourself a winner,
right? He's entered the paranormal field because of me. He had an interest, but sort of started to investigate in that, and he throws himself in, doesn't he, guys?
Oh yeah, he's well into it.
Yeah.
Even with the tech, he was making a bit of tech, wasn't he? I don't know quite how that come along, but he does like his downs and rods.
Well, no, he would have got on all right with the tech side of things. He's an electrician by trade. If he hadn't have then forgot what he was doing and then given away part of it, the integral part of it, which was the tablet part of it, was the SLS camera he was building and stuff like that. But he's well into it. He's loving it. And I love that about it. It's just great. But he's very much like you. He's, just, I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw myself into it and see what happens.
Yeah. And Kerry, you know what? It's a blessing because that's something that you guys can do together.
Yeah.
Well, and
as a couple.
On the advice you said about the paranormal, I'd say that not just the paranormal is advice. My advice is how I live my life. I don't know that I can't do something because I never told myself that I can't. So therefore, I throw myself into everything, and I've never failed at anything. I've not succeeded where I wanted to be. I'm not made to the point that I wanted to be at, but I learned something, good or bad. I still keep moving forward. Do what you want to do. Don't stop. Learn what you can, and just keep going. Haters are going to hate. Lovers are going to love. You got to stay focused and do what you want to do.
Do you?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. We've all had varying times throughout our life, and we've had our varying haters and our lovers, and we still keep on trucking, keep doing what we're doing.
I love my haters because I post it every once in a while. I'll probably get in trouble. You have to beep this for language, but I'll post every once in my Facebook page that'll say if you don't like me and watch everything I'm doing, bitch, you're a fan.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
So
if you're watching.
Keep watching. You're just a fan. If you're not a friend and you're watching, you're a fan, and I like you.
Yeah, you're raising my algorithms up, and more people get to see me, mother.
If you ain't seen nothing stupid yet, wait 5 minutes. I'll do it.
Just wait. It's coming.
As Jason says, do you, boo-boo.
That's right.
Just keep doing you.
Before we go, we've got 5 minutes left of the show. There's one area that you two have never really explored and never really got into, and that's the writing side of things, writing down your experiences and stuff like that. Is there any plans for this?
Not for me. My handwriting's atrocious, and I'm not going to lie. I've gotten several wonderful books over here from friends that have written books, and I appreciate them and I value them. They've even signed them for me, but I've not read the first page in any of them. I'm not a big reader. I'm about just do the research, find what I need to find, technically what I need to know, and now let's go do it. I don't like reading about it. I don't like watching about it. I like doing.
Yeah.
I've gotten several journals now. So, but that have been gifted to me. So I think that's the universe's way of telling me I need to start filling them.
Hey, I got an idea. You write a book and I'll illustrate it.
No,
I draw a mean stick man.
And then Jay did this really stupid thing again.
Somebody just did it. He did it again.
And the again is always going to be capitalized. Again.
But what happens if it's not a mean stick man and it's a happy stick man? Can you draw those?
My pen slipped.
Right.
It was the wrong scribble.
Whoops.
I couldn't draw a stick man with a straight edge.
Oh dear. So not anything planned for that one.
No, not for me. That will never happen for me. It'll be maybe if somebody else wanted to let me record it and they can type it all out, because I'm not going to take the time to do that. My ADHD is not going to allow me to sit there and do all that typing and stuff and talk about myself. I'm lucky to do these interviews and talk about myself. I usually talk about everybody else because I'm boring, in my opinion.
No, one thing you're most definitely not is boring, Jay.
No, definitely not.
I said my opinion.
I never get bored talking to you guys.
Kerry, we have been married for about 3 years, and I made the fatal mistake of telling Jay that he was getting predictable.
Ooh.
And my life has never been the same again.
Oh, right.
I seriously took that as a challenge, so I changed everything about myself, all my routines, everything.
Food that he likes.
Never tell my partner he's becoming predictable.
Don't do it.
No, I'll learn that lesson from you, my lovely.
Yes, please do. That was
Changes everything up. Don't like surprises, thanks. It's fine. I like it. I know what to expect. I like it. Guys, give one last shout out where people can find you.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, our personal pages, LEP Productions pages, YouTube on Paranormal Mysteries home.com. Oh, God.
I think you've hit them.
I think I've hit just about everything.
Yeah.
But if you want to find the most interaction with us, join our personal pages. Look for Jay Lynch or Teresa Lynch. And we're all the time active on those. I tend to forget to post on the other ones because, I don't know, too much things to focus on. Got to have fun.
Sometimes he has focusing issue.
I think people have kind of got that vibe.
Big hugs. Big hugs.
On that note, we've actually come to the end of the show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us again. We do apologise. Our previous interview, we had major problems with it. But this time, fingers crossed, all is good. Right, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely, we've got it.
We've got it in the bag.
Got it in the bag.
Talk to you guys again.
It's been amazing, as always. Any last things before we go?
Y'all are great. Thank you for everything. Richard, you're the one who introduced all of us together and got us all started with being in the UK radio networks and the podcast stuff. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your friendship.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome.
A lot to it.
Right, so what's going on our end? We've still got our book available. It's out there, Amazon, even in Australia now. And is that right, Paul?
Yes, it's available all over the world, every country that has access to Amazon. So yeah, you can buy paperback and you can also get it as a Kindle.
Yes, and we've had a new blog go up, haven't we?
We have, yeah. Very interesting about the Dark Angels.
Yes, I actually
Following-
read that.
Following on from Kerry's Angels blog.
Yeah, I actually read that today, and I've got a little sort of idea of which way to take it. So I'll be
Brilliant.
writing off the back off the back of that, and all our blogs. You can come and read them over on our webpage, which is www.paranormalconcept.com.
Yep, absolutely. And buy the book. I think that's
On that
everything.
note, guys, say goodbye.
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 Goodbye.